Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia, and this morning I have my guest is Allison Despathy again. Welcome, Allison.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. And I just want to say also, Rep. Taglavia, I'm just so grateful that you're willing to do the show and to be in the State House. You're one of the most dedicated public servants that I have seen. You do your research, and it's really amazing. And there's a lot of people who are so grateful you're in there standing up and talking about the tough stuff. So thank you.
Well, thank you. But I have to mention, it really, truly is a team effort. There are a number of people. It's interesting being able to get together and network with people. The longer I'm in there, the more people I'm meeting, being able to find very, very talented people with respect to certain knowledge of certain subjects.
Yeah.
So that, because, I'm on the Environment Committee, and it's one thing to concentrate on just that one committee, but when we go out onto the House floor, we're voting on everything.
Right.
So, having a really well-rounded group in our caucus is very helpful, and there are people also in the background who've been very helpful to me and the rest of our caucus. So, like I said, it's I can't take all the credit. It's a team effort. It really, truly is. So I'm thankful to everybody who's willing to help.
Yes, and I would just say I noticed that too, because it's the communication is huge. You guys are just on such a learning curve.
Yeah.
I mean, with the issues that come up, it's really amazing.
Yes.
Just to see the collaboration and trying to understand a bill and what needs to happen. So it's
Right.
great. You guys have a good crew in there, and thank you.
Yeah, we just need a few more, and we'll
Yes.
be talking about that as the months go on. But,
Exactly.
there's a lot to talk about. So I think we're going to talk about the schools, Act 73. We have a map.
Yes.
Plenty for people to be upset about.
Yes.
Plenty for people not to like, right? So, and it's not so much not liking the map. It's when you take the map and you take the wording, that's when you get the dissatisfaction, let's call it that, and the uproar.
Yeah.
Okay.
And people are going to flip out on this as it comes out. I mean,
Yeah.
this is it's the wrong direction.
I agree with you.
Oh my goodness.
I agree. So why don't you take it away, because I know I've got a little bit of input, but you've been watching this pretty closely. So why don't
Yeah,
you
I mean,
take it
so
away?
Peter Conlin, Chair Conlin of the House Education Committee came out with what he is calling a sort of proposal that people are supposed to react to. And the reaction's going to be a lot of anger. And I think already as people are seeing this, I'm in the Northeast Kingdom, and we had an article in the Caledonia Record, and already people are flipping out. What are you talking about? You're taking away choice from everybody. You're going to take us from 119 school districts to 27 school districts, lock in the public school system. I mean, it's absolutely devastating. And I mean, there's a few quotes that I think are worth reading of his.
Sure.
I'll pull one up here. But I mean, we've had since it's 1869, we've had this town tuitioning program that I think it's around 90 to 100 towns in Vermont who get to choose where their children go to school. I mean, talk about a gift. And you said it earlier, people move.
There
right?
are people in the state of Vermont who chose the town, who chose the school district specifically for school choice.
Exactly.
And now we have a proposition now within the Education Committee that will, like you said, basically take something that's laid out in the Constitution and attempt to erase it. I am, everybody probably who's listening, a regular listener, knows I have H89, which is a school choice bill. Apparently it's super glued to the wall. I'm going to try to get a presentation, an introduction, because it's one of those things, like you said, it's been around. School choice has been around, an option, some sort of an option, for what, more than 200 years?
1869.
Okay,
Yes.
so this is one of those things where this is going to take us in a completely different direction than Vermont has ever gone, and this is why I keep stressing to people, be informed. This is, and I'm not saying just listen to this program, because we do not have enough time in 1 hour to go through everything that you need to know. And I understand everyone is so busy, but take 10 minutes, find 10 minutes out of your day, listen to just maybe not this radio show in podcast form. Find some other ones. There are some other really good ones out there, or and at least get to know, like, Allison said, the chair of the education committee
Right.
is Representative Peter Conlon. Find out who the other reps are. If there's something you're not happy with, shoot them off an email. Be polite, but shoot them an email so that they can know whether people like it or not, so they can know what direction they need to head in.
Exactly.
So-
And it's not a partisan issue. I mean,
I-
yes, there
it's really
tends-
not.
It's not. I
It
mean, this
really
is
is not.
literally the voice that is not being heard in the State House right now, and this is where we really need people to reach out to their reps, to their senators, to the House Education Committee. We need the voice of the parents and the voice of the students who have been thriving and loving school choice, and we
Yes.
need to open it up for all of them. That's
Right.
the real inequity, right? Why are there some towns, like my town in Danville, there's a lot of kids who would love school choice. They would thrive with school choice, but they don't have it. They
Yeah.
don't have it unless their parents have money or their families can move so they can go to a town with school choice. And that's the real inequity. So instead of saying, as his proposal does, we're going to take away school choice from everybody, they need to go the other way and they need to open it up for everybody.
Yeah.
And that's really the path, and I will say there was Bruce Baker. He was
Okay.
an expert from University of Florida who was in there speaking to them, and that was on Friday. And he said to the committee straight up, "You're trying to solve a problem that no one else has solved. No state has solved it, and why not? Because it shouldn't be legislators or superintendents or the Vermont NEA making these decisions where students should go and where is best. It's the parents or the guardians. We need to give it to them, and we've got to figure out a path to get there."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly believe if we had school choice statewide, we would see an influx. We fix that. We fix, school choice, I believe, helps to fix the affordability issue.
Yes.
Why? Because the best performing schools are going to have people kicking in their doors, begging for their students to go. And that's going to force the quality to increase, to be better.
Yes.
That means we're turning out better students, better educated students, students who know how to think, who are critical thinkers, not these drones who just repeat what the teacher told them is going to get them a good grade.
Right. And we need to have the options for the kids and the
Yes.
families. We all learn differently. I mean, that's
yeah.
such a big thing. And that's where, so one of the quotes of Chair Conlon, and granted, he's in a tough position and he's trying, but this is what's so frustrating. Quote, he says, "This proposal would move us from parental choice as the tuition program is set up today to school boards deciding where students go to school. And if a public school is not reasonably available, something that we would have to define, then a school board would need to address that through potentially using an independent school." This is a hideous, hideous plan. It is such a slap in the face to any other program or school that's trying to come together and educate children and give them what they need. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
I
the
agree.
wrong direction.
Yeah, and then you and I, before we went on air, I said I really believe that it is easier to avoid going to jail in this state than it is to avoid going to a public school if you choose not to.
Right.
If you desire not to.
Right.
And that the other thing, I don't know that it has really been addressed in the bill because I only read part way through it. We have CTEs in there. What is that going to do?
Right. Well, that
What
was
is it gonna
one
do
of
with
the
them?
that was one of the proposals for the maps, right? The CTE
Okay.
proposal, which a lot of people like. And I just want to step back because none of us want to see our kids or our communities disrupted. We
No,
don't want to
we
see
don't.
that. But we can absolutely put a system in place where we can open it up for families and students to have choice. So that choice doesn't just belong to those who live in the right town or those who have money. That
Yeah.
is not fair. And the only way for us to get around this is to open it up. And so there's methods that we could do so we can have some anchor schools and we can have a plan where we can sort of let this play out. The other thing that doesn't come up, and this is Bob Frenier, right, who did all this
Yep.
tremendous research on looking at the testing scores of schools.
Yep.
And so some of the schools are doing great, others not so much. How is that educational opportunity if you're locked into a school that's not performing well?
Very good point.
And that's going to drive, like you said, it's going to drive the quality, it's going to drive the academic performance, it's going to drive the options,
Yeah.
so yeah.
And ladies and gentlemen, I think I've spoken about this numerous times on the show, but we have here in a situation now at schools where the ultimate customer, the real customer, is the student.
Yes.
And the student doesn't get a vote. except if they are vocal to mom and dad or whoever their guardian is. But the problem here we have is in other cases, if somebody didn't like what they were given, they would just pick up and move or whatever.
Right.
We have minors; they don't get a vote, and they really not too many people are listening. So these customers that the school system have are not going to find out the quality of education they've gotten until they turn 18, until they've graduated. And by then, it's far too late.
Exactly.
It's far too late.
No,
So
exactly.
these are things that hopefully this session get ironed out so that mom and dad, grandma and grandpa, whoever the guardian is, and the student can take a deep breath and know that the state of the education system in Vermont is going to be on the improvement side,
Yes.
on the rise.
And that's the most empowering thing that you can give to a child and to a family is that option for choice. If
Yeah.
a child is struggling socially, academically, having issues with the teachers, they should be able to go somewhere else. These are formative, highly, highly formative years. I work with a family right now, and one of their children who's been locked into a school with no choice, no option, literally, it has shaped how he sees himself. And it's not in a positive light.
Right.
And now he's trying to learn these tools of shifting it because of how he's been treated, because of the bullying. Like, that's not okay. That family
No,
should
it's
have
not
the
okay.
option. They
It's
shouldn't
absolutely
be
not.
locked in. The other thing that I do want to point out, if we still have some time here, okay, is the whole entire time that the governor put out the proposal of the consolidation, the Vermont NEA has been pointing the finger saying, no, we're not going to consolidate. We want all our small schools, and you can't do this to us. You can't do this to us. And now the superintendents and the Vermont NEA are saying, we need mandated consolidations. This is what it's going to look like. We're giving our input. We want the control. So you can see this is one sort of next step in their plan for full public school monopoly dominance in Vermont. And now Peter Conlon's plan, for what it's worth, whatever it's going to be, he's given it to him. He's
Yeah.
literally handing it over. And this is not going to serve Vermont
No.
and Vermonters and the students most of all.
Yeah, well,
Nightmare.
Again, you and I talked before we started
Yeah.
recording. You walk into a hardware store or a grocery store, you have all kinds of options. You walk into a car dealership, you pick the car with the options that you want. The only place, well, there's a couple of things. You don't get to choose, you don't have very much choice for healthcare in this state. You don't have very much choice for energy in this state. And there's the other, education.
Right.
So very, very, very important things. They're drivers of affordability in a big way. And
And serving our
We're
kids,
getting-
I mean,
yeah.
that's a bottom line.
Yeah,
And our families. I mean, it's so huge. And we need those choices. These are fundamental to have choices around these pieces. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Couldn't agree more. And so basically, ladies and gentlemen, if you're hearing this and you're upset by it, what you're going to want to do is go, I think it's Vermont.gov, but I could be wrong, but find your legislator.
Yes.
Email your legislator, your senator, tell them what you think about this plan. Also, go on the Vermont.gov website, click on the legislature, click on the committees, House committees, and find the names of the education committee members and send them a polite but very detailed, and if it's a very emotional topic for you, let these people know what it's going to do to the choice that you have in your town. What's it going to do for your students
Right.
who
They
live in
need to
your
hear,
house?
exactly.
They need to hear.
They need to hear the parents and the students and how this is going to affect your families and how it's the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Please reach out to them.
Yeah, so we can get this get this done right and in this session. So believe it or not, we've already burned just about all the way through one segment. So we're going to pay some bills, and then when we return, you're listening to Right Side Up.
From your logo to your look, Yipes brings your brand to life. Need custom shirts, eye-catching signs, or full-color vehicle graphics? The crew at Yipes have you covered with screen printing, embroidery, full vehicle wraps, and all your custom designs that make your logo stand out anywhere. And when it's time to take care of your ride, Yipes, Berry & Bevan & Sons
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My guest today is Allison Despathy. We've been talking about the new school map and how much it's going to upset people who are enjoying their school choice right now and potentially could lose it. So where do we pick up? There's a couple of things you wanted to go over before
Yeah.
we switch gears here.
I think the one thing I want to mention to everyone, because there's going to be a lot of people concerned and angry and upset about this, is we are about to launch our website, edwatchvermont.org.
Okay.
So edwatchvt.org. And that'll be a place for us all to come together to make sure our voices are heard when it comes to don't take away our school choice,
Okay.
don't slam us into 27 school districts. This is not how you do it. We don't want the Vermont NEA and the school boards choosing where our children are going to go to school. So I think it's important to for people to know that this is all about to come together. So look for it. Definitely
Okay.
look for it. And then what were the other pieces? We were going to talk about, they need to get rid of that moratorium.
Oh, yeah, the moratorium on
Yes.
the number of independent schools.
So
right.
the number of approved independent schools right
That seems
now.
very arbitrary, right?
I know, and it's so right now there is a moratorium on no more approved independent schools, and what that means is, say you get yourself together with some people and you have a little schoolhouse and you're going to do a great job with the kids, and you go to the Agency of Education, you say, hey, we meet all your requirements to receive public dollars, to receive town tuitioning. They should be able to get that. So
Right.
right now that's blocked. And if we want to have creative outlets and people who come up with these different approaches to education, we need that opened up. It's such
Okay.
a big deal. It's
Okay.
been locked.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And then
Okay.
the other thing was just the funding, right? You want to speak to
Well,
that?
there is a bill,
Mm-hmm.
Representative Marty Feltis from Caledonia County, I can't remember what district,
Yep.
but she has a bill right now to set the foundation formula this session, which some people like and some people don't. I like the idea, just as long as we set the foundation formula low enough so that towns like mine, districts like mine, that have school districts that are very frugal, that know how to
Right.
do a budget and not make it so expensive for my district, as long as we keep it around there, because I know the original foundation formula would have blown up
Right.
my
right. Mm-hmm.
district's budget, would have added money, but it would have added to their tax base.
Right. So, it's that fine line.
Yeah, we have to. We have
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
to walk that fine line. So that is one of the options to help try to move this school issue along, especially with respect to funding. And there
Mm-hmm. Right.
is, I know we've talked about it on the show before, the tax freeze bill from Representative Gina Galfetti. So we do have some options out there. So this is why we're trying to keep everybody informed. There, we're trying to give you reasons to feel like you can sit back and take a deep breath. So
Yes.
stay tuned, but it's still an uphill battle.
Right.
Still an uphill battle.
But doing some immediate action on the affordability piece is huge. Something has to happen there to give people relief, because we can't just keep buying down,
No,
the property
and,
taxes.
Yeah, and there are some people who say, well, why do we buy it down? Some people, I know that, I understand the reasoning, okay? Well, if people get more outraged,
I know, it's
then
true,
they're
it's
going to
true.
vote. They're going to get rid of some of these incumbents who've been reluctant to listen to their voters.
Right.
I believe that's one of the reasons why I voted in.
Right.
It was a tax revolt, and
Right.
I kept saying, "Look, we got to cut this. We got to cut that." So if they go up, then people are going to be awake again.
Right.
My thing is, I'm not a fan of that, because every other week I hear, well, it's too expensive, I have to leave. And I say, please,
Right.
don't leave, stay and fight.
Right.
I'm trying. Look at what we're doing. I can tell you there's representatives are trying to do for you what you want. This
just
is where
need
you
more
go.
of 'em. We just need more of you
them.
guys.
Yeah, we do.
We
need
really
more.
have
and we're
to.
not that far away.
I
Somebody says,
know.
oh, well, that's a lot. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't.
Right.
But I don't think we're so far away that we're not going to start to really make some headway. But it's only if people stay involved.
Yes, exactly right.
So
So
what do you
good.
think? Are we going to switch gears and go
Yeah,
to the
I think
next?
we're good on education. I think the biggest, just last piece is hopefully people can tune in and take some action around this, and we can get our message across
Yeah.
so they don't lock us into this horrible system for Vermont.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
and it's EdWatch.
edwatchvt.org,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah, we want to
Yes.
keep saying that so that people
Have a
if
place
they-
to go.
Have a place to go, get
Yeah.
a little bit of information.
And some action items.
Sure.
We're getting like a QR code together so people can launch right into the site because we got to
Great.
build the base. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Good.
So the next thing that's a sticking point in Vermont, energy.
Oh, yes, of course. The ongoing saga.
Okay, so a little bit of background. A couple of weeks ago, it was maybe 10 days ago, January 30th, it was 11:45.
Yes, right.
I sat and I gave my introduction to H767, which is a moratorium bill. And I'm not going to go back into that, but one of the pieces, there were 5 acts and resolves, and one of them was Act 18, the Clean Heat Standard. And people keep saying, oh, no, it's dead. The PUC isn't going to do anything because it lacks direction from the legislature. Well, lo and behold, Rob Roper, who pays attention to all this, he has an article that was picked up by Vermont Daily Chronicle. He does a Substack, Behind the Lines, and his article, Rob Roper, Sibilia spills the beans, enacting clean heat standards still a, quote, high priority.
Right. What?
Yeah, so I've been saying the clean heat standard is not dead. It's
You
in
think
cold
they would have
storage.
learned, right? It's horrible. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so shall I read some of this to you?
Yeah, or we can just dive right in because I was in committee when they
Okay.
were going through it all. Oh, my goodness.
So, going into the November 2026 elections, Vermont Democrats are eager to impress voters with the notion that the clean heat standard, the quote, Rube Goldberg carbon tax scheme they passed over the veto of Governor Scott in 2024, is dead and gone. A bad but fading memory to be hopefully forgotten about by this coming fall, furthering this deception. For deception it is, when asked if H740, a bill that would establish a fuel dealers registry, a key component of Clean Heat Standard, was a resurrection of the Clean Heat Standard, Representative Kathleen James, Democrat from Manchester, the chair of the House Energy and Digital Infrastructure, gave a truly dramatic Oscar-winning response. Way to go, Rob.
I know, right?
Oh, gosh, not at all, said James. And then after a few seconds of stuttering and stammering over what to say next, came out with, quote, I just want to emphasize this is not even remotely a reincarnation of the Clean Heat Standard, end quote.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
It's not a full resurrection. What H740 is the foundational first step toward enacting the Clean Heat Standard after the November 2020 elections, if and only if,
Right.
Allison, the numbers are there.
I know.
Lest we forget, Act 18, the law establishing a clean heat standard for Vermont, remains on the books. And this is what I've been telling everybody. It's in cold storage. It's not dead. And those same Democrats who insist it's not happening refuse to consider votes to repeal it. Very important. Why do you think that is?
Right.
Well, Rep. Laura Sibilia, independent from Dover, the ranking member on James's committee, and perhaps the biggest booster of the Clean Heat Standard, spilled the beans, let the cat out of the bag, dropped the dime on the real agenda in an interview for Climate Dispatch. And if you go on Vermont Daily Chronicle, you can find this article and you can see the video. Speaking about the goals set out in the Global Warming Solutions Act, the Clean Heat Standard, and others related policies, Sibilia insisted, quote, and this Bill 740 will really be helpful for making sure we can enact those policies accurately.
Dangerous. So
that's
dangerous.
a high priority. Okay.
Right.
And it goes into a little bit more, but Allison, like you said, you were sitting in on the
Oh
committee.
my gosh,
so
I've been watching all the testimony on this H740, which would establish a greenhouse gas inventory. And so how are they going to use this greenhouse gas inventory? And this is the problem, right? So what it would do is it would direct Agency of Natural Resources to establish a greenhouse gas inventory. So literally they can track greenhouse gas emissions all through the state, like that's even possible. So Matt Coda from the Vermont Fuel Dealers comes in. He's on the Climate Council, and he gave amazing testimony. It was awesome, and basically gave this example, which I was laughing so hard in committee. Like, how do you guys think you're actually going to do this? So he said, okay, so you have a person, say from New York, who buys some gas in Vermont. They use 1% of that gas, and then they cross the border in New York, but they bought the gallon in Vermont, are we responsible for those greenhouse gas emissions? This is the hideous part. How are we going to track this stuff? Why are we tracking it? And credit to Representative Mike Southworth, Republican from Hardwick,
Good
Walden
guy.
area. Awesome
Really good guy.
He goes when Julie Moore, Agency of Natural Resources, and granted, she's mandated to do this
Right.
from the Global Warming Solutions Act and the Climate
The
Council
legislature has
directing it,
directed her agency to do it.
regardless of how she feels about it. But Rep. Southworth said, and where does Vermont land on greenhouse gas emissions nationwide? Oh, we're at the lowest.
Yeah, we're
Really?
we're a
This is-
carbon sink. Yes.
And why why do we have greenhouse gas emissions if that's a big thing to you, which it isn't a big
because
thing?
we're going to save countries like China and India.
But what do we use them
Not.
for here? We use them to drive our cars to work and to heat our homes.
Yes.
These
Yeah.
are pretty essential, don't you think?
Especially, and we can pray maybe if we have time next segment,
Yeah.
to cover one of the commentaries, another commentary with regard to
Oh, yes.
this cold snap that we've been having now for the past
Exactly.
3 weeks. So,
Exactly.
if you like to wake up in the morning and not have icicles dripping from your nose. Maybe you would like to have options when it comes to your energy choices, right?
Right.
You know, and I testified, you were there, I testified when I introduced my bill. We need a good, better, best policy, not
Exactly.
one and done policy.
Exactly. And that brings us to, like, we'll get into the baseload piece that we
Sure,
were going to
sure.
talk about. But the other thing I would say with this greenhouse gas inventory and the fuel registry is it is such a waste of time and money and resources. It has
Is it
nothing to do.
$800,000
it would
they're
take
looking for?
$800,000 to set up this program. And what would this program be used for? Well, obviously, Sibilia sort of laid it out there to enact something like the Clean Heat Standard to charge us more for heating, to enact something like a cap and invest program to charge us more for gas and fuel, and also to give Conservation Law Foundation the tools they need to sue us again.
Right.
Because we can't make these reduction mandates because
Yeah.
we need to drive and heat our homes.
Right.
It is like the most warped loop that we could ever be wrapped into right now.
And I think I said it before a couple of shows ago when I talked about my bill. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to say it again because I think it adds a little bit of humor to the hypocrisy that we're seeing here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have Global Warming Solutions Act, which has these mandates. They are mandates. That's the way it's written.
Yes.
The state of Vermont must get to these goals or it sets itself up in the wording, in the act. Our legislature actually told the voters, you will do this or else.
Right.
Okay, now, for those of you who my age or a little bit younger, remember the movie Misery
Oh, yes.
with Kathy Bates
Exactly.
and James Caan? When she's infatuated with James Caan. Imagine your legislature infatuated with renewables.
Right.
And,
And
your
carbon.
legislature saying,
Right.
you'll do this or else.
Right.
Kathy Bates is so infatuated with James Caan that she actually ties him to the bed and breaks his leg while
Right.
saying, it's for the best.
Right. It is absolutely hideous. And
It
it's
is.
such an attack. It's literally attack on us
Yeah.
working hard, on our small businesses who are trying to afford also the heat for their businesses, et cetera. I mean, it's literally attack on our economy and all of us. And if we don't
It's a
meet
direct
these
attack on the
requirements,
economy. Yeah.
it is. If we don't meet these requirements, then we can be sued. And they already have tried to sue us.
If it's 2026, the legislature wants us to go back to 1990s levels.
Right.
Aren't we being hypocritical? We say we want to grow the population. We say we want to grow the economy. How do you do
We want
that?
to grow housing.
We want to grow housing. How do you
know.
do that and not emit more greenhouse gases? First of all, I dispute the greenhouse gas
Yes.
nomenclature. Okay,
Yes.
the largest amount of greenhouse gas is what? Water vapor. Okay,
Exactly.
so we're
Right.
as a legislature, we're talking out of both sides of our mouth.
Right.
We either want a thriving economy or we don't. To me, net zero means net zero GDP, which
Right.
means a dead economy.
Exactly, and that's the
So-
last thing Vermont needs. And we also have 76% of our state forested. So
Yeah.
if people are concerned and stressing
Don't tell
out-
anybody that. That's
But if
that's so
people
good
are
we can't
concerned-
tell anybody.
I know. But that's a carbon sink, right?
Yeah,
so if you're flipping
absolutely.
out on greenhouse gas and carbon, you don't have to. You can calm down and rest assured those mycorrhizae fungi in the soil of the forests are sequestering all the carbon we would ever need.
You're right. You're right. Well, we burned through another segment,
Okay.
ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back. You're listening to Right Side Up.
Change your oil the Vermont way. At Vermont Quick Lube in Barrie, you don't need an appointment, you don't need to wait around, and you don't even need to get out of your car. Unlike the competition, we use a pit system, so you stay cozy inside your vehicle while our technicians work efficiently underneath. We'll have you back on the road in 15 minutes. Every oil change includes oil and filter replacement, vital fluid top-offs, tire pressure check, wiper and light check, and an air filter inspection. And those checks aren't just for show. We can replace your wipers, fix your lights, and install a new air filter while you wait. We offer both full synthetic and conventional oil options, and our technicians will help you choose what's best for your vehicle. But wait, we're more than oil changes. Vermont Quick Lube is your complete automotive service center. We offer Vermont state inspections, brake and suspension service, tire changeovers and rotations, cooling system maintenance and flushes, belts and hoses, tune-ups, exhaust work, and diagnostics. Skip the waiting room. Drive in and let Vermont Quick Lube take care of you and your vehicle. Vermont Quick Lube. Quality, quick, and convenient service. Visit us at 679 South Barrie Road, online at vermontlube.com, or call us at 802-476-7571.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. You're listening to Right Side Up. My name is Mike Taglavia. My guest today is Allison Despathy. Before we get back into discussion, I just want to remind all of our listeners, rightside-up-radio@gmail.com, if you'd like to drop us a line. If for some reason you cannot catch us on the radio at WNTK, you can go to WNTK.com, find the podcast button, click on it, and you'll be able to scroll down to Right Side Up and choose any number of our shows, and hopefully you'll like them and you'll share them amongst your friends. You can catch us on Podbean. You can catch us on 802 Scoop Facebook and 802 Scoop YouTube, and you can also catch us on GraniteGrock.com. So I think I've covered all of that. One other thing, we had the ladies from Vermont Federation of Republican Women on last week's show, and I just want to remind everybody the 15th of their NASCAR event from 2 to 6 at the Canadian Club in Barrie as well.
Nice.
All right, I think I've covered everything that
Good.
I thought I wanted to mention. So we got a little bit more to cover on this H740.
Yeah,
So,
the greenhouse gas inventory, what a nightmare. And I also just want to point out and go back to all of this is coming from the Climate Council, right? So the Climate
Okay.
Council was put in place with the Global Warming Solutions Act.
Another
so they
reason
create
to-
all these policy ideas that
Yeah.
come to the legislature. They
Right.
created the Clean Heat Standard, the Cap and Invest. They're saying we need this greenhouse gas inventory because it's foundational to
Right.
build all the stuff that's going to attack us and make everything more expensive. And I just want to point out, I got to say, there's a lot of really good Republican bills, Republican-sponsored and supported bills in House Energy Committee that would fix this problem. It would
Yep.
make the Global Warming Solutions Act requirements. It would make them recommendations.
yes,
it
alleviate
would-
the lawsuit
Right,
provision.
get rid of the Climate Council, this
Yep.
sort of unelected, bureaucratic council creating this policy that the legislature a lot of times decides to follow, or the Democratic legislature tries to follow. We could repeal the Renewable Energy Standard, repeal the Clean Heat Standard. I mean, all these things that we know are not serving us, not helping, and increasing costs.
Yeah.
They all sit there, but like you said, they're like super glued to the wall.
Super glued to the wall
I
because
know.
the majority party, it's still part of their agenda.
Right.
And they're honestly, ladies and gentlemen, they're waiting us out, hoping that in November of 2026, not too far away, that the numbers will be there for them, that they will regain some seats so they can just be business as usual. So they can basically put this past biennium in the rear view and just pick up where they left off. So this is why we do this here behind the microphone. We're trying to keep people informed, and we're not trying to give you agita. We're not trying to drive up your costs per week for your antacid. We're trying to keep you informed so that we can give you the reason to take a deep breath.
Right.
So,
But I think it is so important for people to recognize that everybody in that legislature, they're good people and they care. But right now, the Democratic agenda is incredibly dangerous to Vermont.
well, it's a progressive agenda. The idea that
or
there
really
are a lot
regressive.
of
I don't
well,
even
it
want
is.
to call it progressive. It's
Yeah.
regressive.
It is very
It attacks
regressive.
us. It
It's
makes things more expensive. I mean, all of their
the
plan
people
with
who
this.
can least afford it.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people struggling. And I also just want to point out one other one, and this goes back to Rob North's bill to repeal the renewable energy standard,
Yep.
or Mike Southworth to amend the renewable energy standard and make it a clean energy standard, which would include the baseload power. But I just want to say, like, right now, if you love Vermont and you don't want to see solar panels all over the farm fields and the forests, if you'd rather see these on businesses and homes helping people, that's another part of the Democratic agenda is they have not dealt with the siting issues around the
Right.
solar plan. And we don't want this industrial solar taking up hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of acres of Vermont and not serving us. It's a dangerous agenda. And that's where I just want to give a plug to. I really hope people can dive in and tune in and look at what the Vermont Republicans are trying to do, because it's amazing work in service to Vermonters in Vermont. And I say that as honestly an independent. I am not partisan. I look at the issues, and I really hope that more of you guys get elected.
Yeah, well,
Definitely.
Thank you. And to that point, I spoke with somebody about a week or so ago, and in our conversation, she brought up. She said, I wish on the ballots there was no political affiliation behind each name. And I was like, really? Why? And because it would force people to do their homework, to
Yes.
do their research, to know what each candidate, what their platform was, what they said, what they voted on if they were an incumbent.
Yep, exactly.
So I think we would see different outcomes in these elections. I really, truly do think that we would see different outcomes if that was the case.
That would be amazing. My
Yeah.
husband's grandfather was always a very strong advocate for that, of like get away from the two-party system and just know your candidate, know who you're voting for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, all right.
So good.
What else do we want to cover here? Do you want to deal with some 248?
Oh, yes.
Section 248
Exactly. Section
stuff?
248A in particular. So the telecom conversation that is happening in the House Energy, back to House Energy, lots of hot topics there. My goodness. Okay. It seems like they're going to vote tomorrow, or at least it's up for a discussion and a vote tomorrow.
When this show is airing, so that actually the vote will be today, which is
so then it would be the Tuesday.
yeah. So let me see
Tuesday
here.
the 10th, right?
Okay. Yes,
Yep.
Tuesday the 10th. That's correct. Okay. So Tuesday morning the 10th, which is first airing of this show, is when the vote is on section
Yes.
the 248.
And it's H527, and I've
Okay.
been watching this, and I've been there, and we've been really engaging. And this is my work with Vermonters for a Clean Environment. I'm the Community and Environmental Health Director, and so working with Annette, who is absolutely amazing. If you don't know her work, she's been at this in Vermont, standing up for people and our environment in the truest sense of the word. For 25 plus years. And she's vce.org. And it's an honor to work with her and for her. She understands this stuff more than anyone I've ever met. But basically what's been happening is throughout the state, the telecom industry has been really coming in strong and saying, we want to set up a cell tower, a radio tower, a small cell antenna. And they're putting it way too close to people's houses. So we've
Right.
got a family in Tinmouth, 80-year-old family, couple, lived there 50 years. They want to put a big, tall, 153-foot radio tower less than 500 feet from their house. A family in Pownell, they want to put a cell tower 700 feet from their house. Some of them are 300 feet. And so what's really come out, and honestly, Mike, this is so incredible. The most honest conversation that I have seen in a long time in the State House has happened in House Energy. Now, the biggest question is, they've got the information. They know that the towns and the neighbors are struggling to participate at the Public Utility Commission. This is the Section 248A you referred to.
Yes.
So basically, in order to participate in something that's happening right next to your home, you shouldn't need a bunch of money and lawyers. And
Right.
that's what's been happening with the Public Utility Commission and the Section 248A process.
The way it's in place currently.
The way it's in statute right now, you
Okay.
need money, you need lawyers, there's all these contested cases. The telecom industry is not respecting and working with communities of, hey, it looks like you could use some coverage. Where do you think we should put this? Not 300 feet from someone's home.
Right.
And honestly, Annette at Vermonters for a Clean Environment has been the one that these towns are finding for help, because some towns are rejecting it, saying, this
Right.
does not fit in our town plan. This doesn't even fit in our zoning bylaws. We're saying no. So she's the only one, even though it's supposed to be Department of Public Service, they're pretty much dropping the ball. She's the one helping the towns, helping the neighbors. This is about public process. It's
Right.
about being able to participate in something that's happening right next to your home and in your community. So she's stepped up. And so the other thing that's been incredibly fascinating, and this is both Republicans and Democrats and the independent ranking member, Laura Sibilia, who we just mentioned with the Clean Heat Standard.
Right.
But they've heard from the communities, they've heard from the municipalities and the neighbors involved, they've heard from the PUC, all these stakeholders. And first of all, the Public Utility Commission is in denial. They're saying, what do you mean there's a problem? There's no problem. And this is really just the one hearing officer who, it really just seems like, I have to be honest, that he wants to retire and he's just not invested in it. And he's not acknowledging that towns and people are struggling to participate in this process.
So if 248 this part of section 248 was to sunset, because if this vote will be to allow it to sunset or to renew it, and you're saying if it's allowed to sunset, then towns would have more input. It would revert back to Act 250 review. Is that what you're saying?
So basically, you're bringing up the piece that Section 248A with the
Yep,
telecom,
okay.
that one has always had this sunset, like a 3-year sunset, because it was
yes.
shoved through really fast. There were issues, and the only reason it was allowed to pass, and this was 15 plus years ago, was because they said we're going to have a check back. So for
Okay.
years, they've had this check back every few years, and these issues come up, and then they never resolve the issues.
Okay.
And so finally, we're getting to this place where the most honest conversation has come out with, these are the problems. And honestly, you know what has also come up, which is amazing? I gave testimony about the radio frequency radiation concerns that people have.
Yep.
And there was a federal court order, a federal lawsuit in 2021, and it directed the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, and it basically said, why are you ignoring all of this peer-reviewed scientific research about the harms of radiation? How can you be ignoring this? So Bram Kleppner, Democrat, Richard Bailey, Republican, they're all talking about, okay, there's a radiation issue here,
Right.
and why are we not allowed to talk about it? There's a federal preemption. We're not supposed to talk about the health effects of this stuff. Bram Kleppner was like, I'm irritated that we're muzzled about this. So
Okay.
this is another part of the conversation, right? So we have this honest conversation coming through, and back to your question, if this bill was not renewed, Section 248A would go away, and people would go through the Act 250 process, which would be a much better accessible process for this type of project.
For the towns. So
Right.
the towns would have more
And the
say.
neighbors,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So that would be ideal, but right now, they're not really willing to go down that road, because the Act 250 Land Use Review Board is going through all of its Act 181. There's a
Oh,
lot
yeah.
of chaos. That's a whole other conversation. Maybe we'll talk about that next
Well,
week.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, while we're there, just ladies and gentlemen, more homework for you. What do we got? H749
Mm-hmm.
and H730. Those are two future land use related and road rule related. So
Yes.
if you want to look those up.
And a
here
lot of
again, if
people
you
are
wanna get
struggling
a little bit
with
more
those.
angry.
Yeah, I know a lot of people in towns and communities are struggling with that.
Yes.
But just to wrap up on the telecom, basically, they're trying to figure out what to do, and I'm hoping they're going to have some effective action that will immediately help alleviate all of these contested, litigated telecom cases that are happening because of the problem with Section 248A. So we'll find out. We'll find out if they voted through tomorrow. We'll follow up on that, right?
yeah,
I just
yeah.
hope they step up and really help the communities and Vermonters versus just, I mean, the only
that-
person who really likes Section 248A, or the only crew that really likes Section 248A, is the telecom industry. So why
Okay.
are we choosing telecom industry over
Right.
the people?
So this is going to be happening, let's see, the date would be February 10th at probably no earlier than 9 in the morning.
2:15 tomorrow.
2:15, okay,
scheduled.
2:15 in the
Yes,
afternoon, so
yes.
okay.
So
All
we'll
right,
see
just
what
so everybody
happens.
knows, all right. So
Yes.
now, I guess we can go to another energy issue.
Yeah. Lots on the
Well,
topic.
it's on people's minds.
Yes.
Because look, they're worried. Am I going to run out of propane? What's my propane going to cost me this for the total for this winter?
Exactly.
What's my home heating oil going to cost me? Mm-hmm. So we've got another article here. It's a commentary, Vermont Daily Chronicle from, let's see, Thurston. Cold snap reveals need for natural gas pipeline. This is by Steve Thurston.
Yes.
Before we get into this, I talk about it all the time. You and I talked about it before we went on air. We need the state of Vermont, and this is going to be a really short segment because we're almost out of time already.
Yep.
We need a good, better, best policy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
This cold snap is proof why. And I'm just going to read you just the first paragraph or so because, ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, we're running out of time. But the brutal 3-week cold snap from January 18 to February 8, known as Winter Storm Fern, hit New England hard. Electricity prices skyrocketed due to limited natural gas supplies as pipelines couldn't deliver enough from abundant Marcellus Shale sources. Gas was prioritized for home heating, forcing power plants to burn expensive oil instead and to import liquefied natural gas from foreign countries in container ships at 3 to 5 times the normal unconstrained cost of Marcellus shale gas. So, unfortunately, like I said, this article is dated, February 9, 2026 in Vermont Daily Chronicle. You're going to want to check it out because it's full of information that's pertinent to the cold snap we're experiencing right now.
Right.
It is Vermont. It's cold in the winter. It's February, but we need to have a good, better, best policy.
Yes.
And Allison, I want to thank you again very much for
Thank
joining
you.
me.
Thank you so
Always a
much.
pleasure having you.
Good.
Ladies and gentlemen, remember, stay safe, stay informed, listen to Right Side Up.